The Galactic Council chamber stretched across 3 kilometers of polished obsidian, its crystalline walls displaying the swirling nebulae of 1,000 conquered worlds. Ambassador Zethkar of the Hegemony Coalition stood before the assembled representatives, his 4 arms gesturing dramatically as holographic displays showed the devastating losses his forces had suffered. Honored delegates, Zethkar's translator rendered his chittering voice into the common tongue. What we face is not merely a species. It is a plague, a cancer that spreads through our territories with unprecedented savagery. The representatives from 47 different species murmured among themselves. The crystalline hierarchy's delegate, a being of living mineral named Quartz Singer of Sorrows, chimed with melodic concern. Surely you exaggerate, hegemony representative. No single species has ever posed a threat to our collective might. Zethkar's compound eyes darkened. I speak of humans. A collective silence fell across the chamber. The name had become whispered in corners of the galaxy, spoken of in hushed tones by survivors of encounters with Earth's children. But this was the first time it had been spoken openly in the Council. 3 cycles ago, Zethkar continued, we discovered their world during routine expansion operations. A small blue planet, unremarkable except for its abundant water and moderate climate. Our preliminary scans showed a primitive species that had barely achieved spaceflight. We expected easy conquest, perhaps a few hundred cycles of labor extraction before moving on to more valuable targets. The holographic display shifted, showing Earth in all its blue-green glory. Beautiful, serene, deceptively peaceful. We were wrong. The display changed to show massive hegemony dreadnoughts approaching Earth's orbit. Ships the size of cities, bristling with plasma cannons and antimatter torpedoes, their hulls scarred from 1,000 successful conquests. Our first contact protocol was standard, Zethkar explained. Demand immediate surrender, demonstrate superior firepower, begin processing facilities for resource extraction. We transmitted our surrender demands in 743 languages. We expected compliance within 1 solar day. Ambassador Veltar of the Serpentine Collective, her scales shimmering with curiosity, leaned forward. And their response? They laughed at us. The chamber erupted in confused chatter. Laughter in response to a hegemony surrender demand was unprecedented. Not just their governments, Zethkar continued, but their entire population. They broadcast comedy programs about our demands. They created what they call memes, some form of informational virus that spread through their networks, mocking our appearance, our ships, our threats. One particular image showed me personally with the caption, "Angry Crab wants my lunch money." Several delegates made sounds that might have been stifled amusement. Zethkar's mandibles clicked with irritation. We proceeded with standard intimidation protocols. Orbital bombardment of a minor military installation. Nothing that would damage valuable infrastructure. Merely a demonstration of power. The holographic display showed the destruction of a human military base, buildings vaporizing under concentrated plasma fire. Their response was immediate and unprecedented. Instead of terror, instead of surrender, they declared what they called a meme war. Within hours, their entire information network was flooded with images mocking the destruction. They turned our demonstration of power into entertainment. One video, viewed by over 2 billion humans, showed our bombardment set to what they called circus music. The display now showed a compilation of human responses. Cartoons depicting hegemony forces as bumbling villains, mock news reports treating the invasion as a sporting event, and countless variations of humans expressing not fear, but anticipation for the conflict ahead. We realized then that we were dealing with something beyond our experience, a species that responds to existential threat with mockery. But we had committed to conquest, so we proceeded with ground operations. Zethkar paused, his breathing apparatus wheezing. Even recounting the events seemed to cause him distress. Our first ground assault targeted their capital cities. Standard protocol called for deploying shock troopers, genetically enhanced warriors standing 3 meters tall, equipped with energy weapons capable of cutting through starship hull plating. These are the same forces that broke the crystal spires of Vega and brought the hive minds of Kepler to their knees in single battles. The display showed the massive, insectoid shock troopers descending from landing craft, their weapons charging with lethal energy. The humans were waiting for us. The scene shifted, and gasps echoed through the chamber. Instead of cowering civilians or even organized military resistance, the display showed something that defied all conventional understanding of warfare. Humans stood in the streets of their cities, not fleeing, not hiding, but actually cheering as the shock troopers landed. Signs were held up reading, "Welcome to Earth," and "Thanks for visiting." Some humans were taking what they called selfies with the invading forces in the background. At first, we thought this was some form of mass psychological break, Zethkar continued. A species-wide madness brought on by the stress of invasion. Our troops were ordered to begin standard pacification procedures. The display showed a shock trooper raising its weapon toward a crowd of humans. What happened next would haunt Zethkar's dreams for the rest of his natural life. The humans moved, not as a panicked mob, not as trained soldiers, but as something far more terrifying. They moved like they had been hoping for this exact moment their entire lives. In the span of 17 seconds, Assault Group Alpha was completely eliminated. Not defeated, eliminated. We lost contact with 400 shock troopers simultaneously. The display now showed the aftermath. Scattered pieces of advanced armor, weapons torn apart as if by incredible force, and humans collecting trophies with the enthusiasm of children gathering shells on a beach. The humans had no advanced technology in this engagement. Zethkar's voice carried a tremor. They used primitive kinetic weapons, metals propelled by chemical explosives. Some used edged weapons forged from simple steel. Others fought with nothing but their natural appendages. Representative Quartz Singer of Sorrows chimed with disbelief. Impossible. Shock troopers are equipped with personal shields that can deflect starship-grade weaponry. That was our assumption as well, Zethkar replied grimly. But humans, it appears, do not read our technical manuals. They simply improvised. The holographic display showed security footage from the shock troopers' own recording equipment. Humans moving with impossible speed and coordination, their primitive weapons somehow finding the exact weak points in advanced armor systems. But more disturbing than their effectiveness was their demeanor. They were laughing, actually laughing as they fought. One human female, approximately 1.7 meters tall and estimated mass of 65 kilograms, personally destroyed 7 shock troopers using only a metal rod she had torn from a nearby construction site. Our analysis indicates she was simultaneously providing tactical advice to other humans and singing what appeared to be some form of battle hymn. The display zoomed in on the human in question, a middle-aged woman with graying hair, wearing what appeared to be exercise clothing, wielding an improvised weapon with the skill of a master craftsman. Her face showed not rage or fear, but pure joy. When we reviewed the combat recordings, we discovered something that challenged our understanding of warfare itself. The humans were not merely fighting for survival. They were enjoying it. Their biological indicators showed elevated endorphin levels consistent with recreational activities. Ambassador Veltar's scales had shifted to a pale yellow, indicating deep concern. "You're saying they treat warfare as entertainment?" Mers Zitkar replied. "They treat it as a hobby." The chamber fell silent except for the ambient hum of the station's life support systems. The implications were staggering. Every species in the galactic community fought for resources, territory, or survival. The concept of fighting for pleasure was so alien that several delegates were having difficulty processing it. Following the loss of Assault Group Alpha, we implemented Protocol 7, urban pacification through selective destruction. We targeted their historical monuments, their centers of learning, anything that might have cultural significance. The display showed hegemony ships systematically destroying human landmarks, ancient buildings crumbling under energy weapons, libraries vaporizing, museums turned to ash. Their response was to build new ones faster than we could destroy the old ones. Not only that, but they began building monuments to commemorate our attacks. Within days of destroying their ancient structures, we observed humans constructing new buildings designed to mock us. One particularly elaborate structure was built in the shape of my own species. With the inscription, "Here stood alien jerks who thought they could break human stuff." Zethkar paused to drink from a specialized hydration unit. His breathing labored from the stress of recounting these events. By day 12 of the occupation, we had lost contact with 60% of our ground forces. not to superior firepower or technological advantages, but to what can only be described as enthusiasm. Humans were actively hunting our troops for sport. The display showed thermal imaging of human cities at night, small groups of humans moving through ruined streets with the coordinated precision of pack hunters. But these were not soldiers. Analysis of the footage showed civilians, including elderly individuals and juveniles, participating in complex tactical operations against forces equipped with technology centuries beyond their own. We intercepted their communications during these hunting expeditions. They had developed rating systems for different types of our troops. Shock troopers were considered basic-level challenges. Our advanced combat units were rated as intermediate. They were requesting deployment of our elite guard units because they wanted to see how the next boss fight would go. Several delegates were now displaying obvious signs of distress. The concept of a species treating vastly superior military forces as entertainment was beyond their ability to comprehend. On day 18, they somehow acquired one of our orbital bombardment satellites. This statement caused an immediate uproar in the chamber. Orbital control was considered impossible for ground-based forces to compromise. Analysis of the incident showed that a small group of humans had constructed an improvised spacecraft using parts salvaged from our crashed vessels, along with components from their own primitive technology. They launched this craft using a delivery system originally designed for sending supplies to their space stations. The display showed grainy footage of what appeared to be a human-built vessel approaching a hegemony satellite. The craft was a bizarre amalgamation of salvaged alien technology and human engineering, held together with what analysis later revealed to be a combination of advanced molecular bonding agents and something humans called duct tape. The humans then proceeded to disable our satellite's defensive systems and commandeer its weapons array. They used our own orbital bombardment platform to draw pictures on the surface of their moon. Large pictures, visible from planetary orbit. Pictures of Zethkar's translators struggled with the concept, anatomical features consistent with their reproductive organs. The chamber was now in chaos, with delegates from dozens of species expressing shock, confusion, and, in some cases, what might have been admiration. The concept of turning an orbital weapons platform into an art installation was so far beyond normal military thinking that several representatives were requesting clarification from their translation systems. The drawings remained visible for several cycles before natural lunar dust settled over them. During that time, every human on their planet could look up at night and see our most advanced military technology being used to display what they considered humor. Representative Thexmore of the Hive Confederation, speaking through a swarm of interconnected insectoid drones, buzzed with curiosity. How did their government respond to these unauthorized actions by their civilians? This brings us to perhaps the most disturbing aspect of human psychology, Zethkar replied. There was no government response. No punishment, no corrective action, no attempt to control their population's behavior. Instead, their leadership congratulated the individuals involved and awarded them with ceremonial recognition. The display showed footage of human leaders presenting medals and awards to the individuals responsible for the orbital satellite incident. The ceremony appeared to be a celebration, with thousands of humans gathering to cheer for what any rational species would consider acts of terrorism. We began to understand that we were not facing a unified government or military force. We were facing an entire species that had collectively decided our invasion was an acceptable form of entertainment. Zethkar activated a new series of holographic displays, showing statistical analyses of human behavior during the occupation. Productivity in their civilian sectors actually increased during the invasion. Their entertainment industry began producing what they called invasion-themed content within days of our arrival. Their economic systems adapted to incorporate what they termed alien hunting into their recreational budgets. The statistics were staggering. Human civilian morale had improved during the invasion. Birth rates had increased. Educational enrollment had spiked, particularly in courses related to engineering, physics, and what they called creative problem-solving. Most disturbing of all, preliminary psychological evaluation suggested that humans were disappointed when we began losing ground. They actually wanted the conflict to continue longer. The chamber had fallen into an uncomfortable silence. The implications of a species that thrived under existential threat were profound and terrifying. By day 30, we had lost effective control of all ground operations. Our remaining forces were trapped in isolated bunkers, unable to venture outside due to what can only be described as spontaneous human hunting parties. Every time we attempted to send supplies or reinforcements, humans would appear from nowhere and treat our military operations as some form of interactive entertainment. Zethkar's voice had become barely audible, forcing the chamber's audio systems to amplify his words. On day 37, they breached our command bunker. The display showed the interior of a hegemony command center, a fortress designed to withstand orbital bombardment, equipped with the most advanced defensive systems in the galaxy. The footage was from the facility's own security cameras, showing the moments before its fall. Sabantanumans, armed with improvised weapons and equipment salvaged from our own forces. They penetrated defenses that had never been breached in 300 cycles of galactic warfare. The security footage showed the humans moving through the bunker with impossible coordination. They communicated through subtle gestures and expressions, adapting their tactics in real time as they encountered different defensive systems. More disturbing was their apparent enjoyment of the challenge. Several were smiling as they dismantled security measures that had taken decades to develop. The final confrontation lasted 47 minutes. 17 humans against 200 of our finest military personnel, equipped with the most advanced personal weapons in our arsenal. Zethkar paused, his breathing apparatus wheezing with stress. We lost. The chamber remained silent except for the ambient sounds of life support systems and the distant hum of the station's rotation. But losing was not the worst part, Zethkar continued. The worst part was what happened after we surrendered. The display showed the aftermath of the bunker assault. Hegemony personnel, standing with their hands raised in surrender, their weapons disabled, their command structure completely broken. They were kind to us. This statement caused more confusion in the chamber than anything that had come before. Kindness to defeated enemies was not entirely unknown in galactic warfare, but it was certainly unexpected given the context. They provided medical care for our wounded. They shared their food supplies with us. They explained their tactics and complimented our defensive design. Several humans spent hours discussing our technology and expressing what appeared to be genuine admiration for our engineering capabilities. The footage showed humans tending to injured hegemony soldiers, offering water and basic medical supplies. They appeared to be treating their former enemies as honored guests rather than defeated prisoners. One human, a juvenile barely past their species' age of maturity, spent 3 hours explaining to me the mathematical principles behind their improvised orbital trajectory calculations. She seemed genuinely concerned that I understand the educational value of what they had accomplished. Zethkar's voice carried a note of something that might have been wonder, or perhaps horror. They invited us to what they called an after-action review. They wanted to discuss the entire invasion as if it had been a collaborative training exercise. They offered suggestions for how we might improve our tactics in future engagements. They asked if we would be interested in participating in what they called war games, formalized combat scenarios designed for mutual improvement. The chamber was struggling to process this information. The concept of treating a failed invasion as an educational opportunity was beyond the experience of any delegate present. When our evacuation ships arrived, the humans helped us load our equipment. They provided detailed reports on the performance characteristics of our weapons and vehicles. They offered to trade communication frequencies so that we could keep in touch and potentially arrange future engagements. Representative Veltar's scales had shifted through several color phases, finally settling on a deep purple indicating profound confusion. Are you saying they wanted you to invade them again? Not exactly, Zethkar replied. They wanted us to invade them better next time. The statement hung in the air like a toxic gas. The implications were staggering and completely outside the framework of any known military psychology. As our ships departed their system, we received a final communication from Earth. It was a compilation of what they called highlight reels from the invasion, selected moments of combat that they considered particularly impressive or entertaining. This was accompanied by what they termed constructive feedback on our performance and suggestions for improvement. The display showed portions of a human compilation, footage of successful tactical operations by both sides, analysis of effective strategies, and what appeared to be educational commentary on the entire conflict. The final message was an invitation to participate in what they called the annual Galactic War Games Championship, which apparently they were organizing with the intention of inviting military forces from across the galaxy for competitive combat exercises. Zethkar deactivated the holographic display and stood in the center of the chamber, his 4 arms hanging limply at his sides. Honored delegates, I come before you not to request military assistance, but to issue a warning. Humanity represents a fundamental challenge to our understanding of warfare, conflict, and survival. They do not fight for resources, territory, or even survival in any way we can comprehend. They fight because they enjoy fighting. The chamber remained silent, the weight of this revelation settling over the assembled delegates like a heavy shroud. More terrifying than their effectiveness in combat is their enthusiasm for it. They have transformed the most serious endeavor known to intelligent life, warfare, into a recreational activity. They approach existential threats with the same mindset they might apply to solving puzzles or playing games. Zethkar's breathing apparatus wheezed as he prepared to deliver his final statement. And now they have begun reaching out to other species, offering to share what they have learned. Earth has transmitted communications to 47 different star systems, inviting military forces to participate in competitive combat exercises. They promise challenging scenarios, innovative tactics, and educational value for all participants. The implications of this revelation rippled through the chamber. Several delegates were already calculating the distance between their home systems and Earth's location. I implore this council to issue an immediate advisory to all member species: avoid human space. Do not engage Earth forces in any capacity. Do not respond to their invitations for military exercises. Do not attempt to understand their psychology. Zethkar's voice dropped to barely a whisper. Because once you engage with humanity in combat, once you experience their unique approach to warfare, you may find yourself wanting to understand how they think. And understanding how humans think about conflict may be the most dangerous knowledge in the galaxy. As the session concluded and delegates began filing out of the chamber, many were already composing urgent messages to their home governments. Some carried warnings about avoiding human space. Others, however, were drafting requests for long-range exploration vessels capable of reaching Earth's system. The humans had issued an invitation to the galaxy, offering to share their unique perspective on warfare and conflict. Despite Zethkar's warnings, or perhaps because of them, that invitation was beginning to sound very interesting to species who had grown tired of conventional military thinking. In the depths of space, Earth's radio signals continued their journey outward, carrying humanity's enthusiastic offer to teach the galaxy new ways to think about combat, conflict, and the joy of a well-fought battle. The children of Earth were eager to share their passion with anyone brave enough to accept their invitation. And across the galaxy, in war rooms and command centers, military minds were beginning to wonder what they might learn from species that had turned warfare into an art form. 3 months after Zethkar's testimony before the Galactic Council, the first response to Earth's invitation arrived in the form of the Valdorian Empire's 3rd Exploration Fleet. Admiral Kex Thar had built his reputation on surgical military precision and overwhelming technological superiority. His flagship, the World Breaker, carried enough firepower to reduce a continent to ash and commanded a fleet of 27 vessels crewed by the most disciplined warriors in Valdorian space. Unlike the hegemony's chaotic invasion, Kex Thar had studied every available record of human combat behavior. His approach would be methodical, calculated, and absolutely overwhelming. No room for human improvisation, no opportunity for their strange psychological warfare. This would be a textbook demonstration of superior military doctrine. Status report: Kex Thar commanded as his fleet dropped out of hyperspace at the edge of Earth's solar system. All vessels in formation. Admiral reported as tactical officer. Commander Ythael. Weapons charged. Shields at maximum. No signs of human space-based defenses. The Admiral studied the tactical displays with satisfaction. Earth hung before them like a ripe fruit, apparently defenseless. Intelligence suggested the humans possessed no fleet-scale space combat capability. Their invitation had been transmitted from orbit around their own world, indicating their military capabilities were primarily planetary-based. Commence Protocol Prime, Kekstar ordered. Full-spectrum sensor sweep, followed by demonstration bombardment of their primary satellite. The Valdorian fleet moved with practiced precision, their formations textbook perfect as they approached Earth's moon. The plan was elegant. Destroy the human satellite to demonstrate overwhelming superiority, demand immediate surrender, then proceed with organized subjugation. Quick, clean, efficient. Admiral, the sensor operator's voice carried a note of confusion. I'm detecting artificial structures on the lunar surface. Recent construction, based on thermal signatures. Elaborate, Kekstar commanded. Approximately 3,000 individual installations. Too small to be defensive emplacements, too numerous to be research facilities. Configuration unknown. The Admiral frowned. This was not in any of the intelligence reports. Visual confirmation. The main display shifted to show Earth's moon in high resolution. What they saw defied all military logic. Scattered across the lunar surface were thousands of small installations, each featuring what appeared to be viewing platforms, recreational facilities, and large displays showing text in various human languages. Translation of visible text. The communications officer reported. Welcome, Valdorians. Thank you for accepting our invitation. Please proceed to designated combat zone. Refreshments available at all viewing locations. The bridge fell silent except for the hum of life support systems. Kekstar stared at the display, his tactical mind struggling to process what he was seeing. They prepared for our arrival? Admiral, the sensor operator continued, I'm detecting human life signs at each installation. Approximately 50,000 humans currently present on the lunar surface. Energy readings suggest they have established life support systems and what appears to be entertainment facilities. Entertainment facilities? Large screens, elevated seating arrangements, and what our computer identifies as concession stands. The implications were staggering. Humans had apparently converted their moon into a viewing platform for watching their own planet being invaded. They had not only anticipated the Valdorian fleet's arrival, but had built infrastructure to observe the coming battle as if it were a sporting event. Sir, the communications officer interrupted. Incoming transmission from Earth. Audio and visual. On screen, the display filled with the image of a middle-aged human woman seated behind what appeared to be a desk, with Earth visible through a window behind her. She wore formal attire and maintained the composed demeanor of a professional broadcaster. Good morning, Admiral Kekstar and the crew of the 3rd Exploration Fleet, she began, reading from notes as if delivering a news report. Welcome to Earth. I'm Sarah Chun, and I'll be your host for today's engagement. We're broadcasting live to viewing locations across the solar system, with special guest commentary from military experts representing 14 different species. Kekstar's mandibles clicked with confusion. The human was treating their invasion as a media event. Before we begin, the human continued, please note that we've prepared detailed tactical briefings on your fleet composition, weapon systems, and historical combat doctrine. These have been distributed to all viewing locations for educational purposes. We're particularly excited to observe Valdorian trident formation tactics, which our analysis suggests will be highly effective against our current defensive arrangements. The Admiral looked around his bridge, seeing his own confusion reflected in the faces of his crew. The humans were providing intelligence briefings on his own forces to their spectators. We've established a preliminary combat zone encompassing Earth's primary land masses, with backup zones available if needed. Please be aware that civilian viewing areas are clearly marked and should be avoided during active engagement. Safety regulations are detailed in the information packet we're transmitting to your vessel now. Admiral, the communications officer reported, they're transmitting a data package. Contents appear to be safety guidelines, recommended viewing locations, and what they call a program schedule for today's events. Kekstar activated his personal communication system. This is Admiral Kekstar of the Valdorian Empire. You will cease this mockery immediately and prepare for unconditional surrender. The human on screen smiled politely. Admiral, we absolutely respect your commitment to proper military protocol. However, we should mention that formal surrender isn't scheduled until after the closing ceremonies. We have several exciting demonstrations planned, including what our tactical team calls Surprise Defense Scenario 7. They've been working on it for months and are very eager to show you. You plan scenarios? Oh yes, Sarah Chun replied enthusiastically. We've prepared 17 different defensive configurations based on various fleet approach vectors. Each scenario is designed to provide unique tactical challenges while ensuring maximum educational value for all participants. She consulted her notes again. Based on your current formation and approach speed, you're currently on track for Scenario 12, Metropolitan Defense Initiative. This features urban combat environments, improvised fortification systems, and what our engineers call infrastructure utilization tactics. Very popular with our test audiences. Kexthar was beginning to understand why Zethkar had appeared so disturbed during his testimony. The humans were not merely treating invasion as entertainment. They were treating it as a collaborative educational experience. Admiral, his tactical officer reported, sensors are detecting movement on the planetary surface. Massive population redistribution is occurring. Evacuation protocols? Kexthar asked hopefully. Negative, sir. Analysis suggests humans are moving toward major urban centers, not away from them. Population density in target areas is increasing. The Admiral studied the tactical display, watching millions of humans moving with coordinated precision toward the exact locations where military doctrine suggested he should focus his assault. They were not fleeing the coming battle. They were positioning themselves to watch it. Additional movement detected. The sensor operator continued. Approximately 3 million humans have taken positions in elevated locations surrounding major cities. Thermal imaging suggests they have established viewing areas with enhanced visibility of potential combat zones. Sarah Chen's voice drew his attention back to the communication screen. Admiral, you might notice that we've arranged optimal viewing positions for today's engagement. We learned from the hegemony incident that proper spectator positioning is crucial for both safety and educational value. Don't worry about civilian casualties. Our safety protocols are quite comprehensive. Safety protocols for warfare? Kexthar's voice carried a note of disbelief. Absolutely. We take spectator safety very seriously. All viewing areas are equipped with emergency shelters, medical facilities, and rapid evacuation systems. Plus, we've established communication networks so spectators can provide real-time feedback on tactics and effectiveness. The concept of spectator feedback during active combat was so far outside Kexthar's military experience that his translation software struggled to process the concept. We should also mention, Sarah Chen continued, that we've arranged for comprehensive documentation of today's events. Multiple camera positions, sensor arrays, and what our technical team calls immersive recording systems. Full tactical analysis will be available for all participants within 48 hours. You are recording this invasion? Oh yes, for educational purposes. We're particularly interested in documenting advanced Valdorian tactical doctrine. Your reputation for systematic battlefield control precedes you, and we're honored to have the opportunity to learn from your expertise. Kexthar realized that the humans were treating his invasion fleet as guest lecturers in an advanced military studies program. They wanted to study his tactics, learn from his strategies, and apparently provide feedback on his performance. Admiral, the communications officer reported, additional incoming transmission. Source appears to be human academic institutions. Multiple universities, Sarah Chan explained helpfully, have requested permission to conduct real-time analysis of today's engagement. We have student groups prepared to observe tactical decision-making, logistics coordination, and what they call applied military psychology. Several doctoral dissertations are scheduled to be based on today's events. The Admiral was rapidly approaching a complete tactical paradigm failure. His invasion fleet had somehow become the subject of academic research without firing a single shot. Furthermore, the human continued. We've arranged for post-engagement consultation opportunities. Our military analysis teams are very interested in discussing tactical decision-making processes with experienced commanders. We understand Valdorian strategic thinking emphasizes systematic approach methodology, and our students are eager to understand how that translates to real-world battlefield management. Kexthar looked around his bridge, seeing the same stunned confusion he felt reflected in every face. His crew had trained for decades to execute perfect military operations, but nothing in their experience had prepared them for enemies who wanted to learn from them. "Sir," the tactical officer interrupted, "planet-side energy readings are spiking. Multiple installation activations detected. Defensive systems coming online. Unknown, sir. Energy signatures don't match any known weapon configurations. Computer analysis suggests entertainment systems, massive display screens, audio amplification, and what appears to be hospitality infrastructure." Sarah Chun smiled broadly. "Those would be our spectator support systems. Food service, restroom facilities, medical stations, and educational displays. We've also activated our real-time tactical analysis networks, so spectators can follow the development of engagement strategies as they evolve." "You're providing tactical analysis to civilians?" "Educational value is very important to us," the human replied. "We believe that understanding military science helps everyone appreciate the complexity and skill involved in advanced combat operations. Many of our spectators are students, researchers, or just citizens interested in learning about different approaches to strategic thinking." The admiral was beginning to suspect that human psychology represented a fundamental challenge to everything he thought he knew about warfare. His fleet had come to demonstrate Valdorian military superiority, but somehow the humans had transformed his invasion into an educational seminar with an audience of millions. "Admiral," his science officer reported, "long-range sensors are detecting movement in the outer system. Multiple contacts approaching from various vectors. Human reinforcements?" "Negative, sir. Sensor signatures match. Hegemony vessels. Also detecting crystalline hierarchy ships, serpentine collective formations, and—" "Admiral, I count representatives from at least 12 different species approaching the system." Kexthar stared at the tactical display in growing horror. "They invited other species to watch." Sarah Chun nodded enthusiastically. "Oh yes, we have observers from throughout the galactic community. Many species expressed interest in studying Valdorian tactical doctrine, and we thought this would be an excellent opportunity for cross-cultural military education." The admiral realized that his invasion had somehow become the galaxy's largest military science conference, with Earth as the venue and his fleet as the featured demonstration. "We should mention," the human continued, "that several species have requested to participate directly in today's exercises. Nothing too extensive, just small-scale tactical insertions to provide additional complexity to the scenarios. We assured them that primary engagement authority remains with your fleet, of course. Other species want to fight alongside us. Actually, some want to fight alongside us, and others want to fight alongside you. We thought it would be valuable to explore multi-species tactical integration. Very cutting-edge from an educational standpoint." Kexthar felt his systematic military worldview collapsing. The humans had somehow transformed his carefully planned invasion into a galactic military symposium featuring live tactical exercises with participants from dozens of different species. "Sir," the communications officer reported, "incoming transmission from the Hegemony observer ship. Admiral Zethkar wishes to speak with you." "Put him through." The display split, showing both Sarachan and the familiar form of Zethkar, who looked considerably more composed than he had during his council testimony. "Admiral Kexthar," Zethkar began, "I strongly recommend you proceed with the engagement as planned." "You recommend invasion?" "I recommend education," Zethkar replied. "The humans have developed tactical innovations that will revolutionize your understanding of combat operations. My own forces have implemented several techniques learned from our previous engagement, with remarkable success in subsequent operations." Sarah Chun smiled. "Admiral Zethkar has become one of our most enthusiastic research partners. His insights into hegemony tactical doctrine have been invaluable for our comparative military studies program." "Research partners?" "The hegemony has agreed to participate in regular joint training exercises," Zethkar explained. "Human tactical creativity combined with our technological capabilities has produced extraordinary results. My current mission success rate has improved by 47% since beginning cooperation with Earth's military education programs." Kexthar was struggling to process the concept of the Hegemony Coalition, one of the galaxy's most aggressive military forces, voluntarily participating in joint training with the species that had defeated them. Admiral, his tactical officer, reported, "We're receiving approach vectors for today's engagement scenarios. The humans have prepared multiple tactical situations, with recommended force dispositions and suggested objectives. They're providing us with invasion plans." Educational scenarios, Sarah Chun corrected gently. Each scenario is designed to explore different aspects of tactical decision-making under various constraints. We're particularly interested in observing how Valdorian systematic methodology adapts to dynamic battlefield conditions. The Admiral looked at the incoming data packages, seeing detailed tactical analyses, recommended force deployment strategies, and comprehensive briefings on Earth's defensive capabilities. The humans were providing him with more intelligence about their own planet than his own scouts had gathered. "Sir," the science officer interrupted, "I'm detecting energy fluctuations on the planetary surface. Multiple installations are activating." "Finally, defensive systems?" "Negative, sir. Computer analysis indicates recreational facilities. The humans appear to be preparing for what they term a tailgate party." Sarah Chun nodded enthusiastically. Pre-engagement celebrations are very important for building community spirit among spectators. We have food vendors, live entertainment, and educational seminars scheduled before the main events begin. Educational seminars about what? Military history, tactical theory, and advanced strategic thinking. We have guest speakers from 7 different species sharing insights about their combat doctrines. Very popular with our younger audiences. Kekstar realized that the humans had somehow turned his invasion into the galaxy's largest military education festival, complete with food vendors and guest lectures. "Admiral," Zethkar's voice drew his attention back to the communication screen. "I strongly recommend you proceed with the engagement. What you'll learn about tactical innovation will be worth far more than any territorial conquest." "You're saying I should invade them?" "I'm saying you should accept their invitation to expand your understanding of what warfare can become when approached with proper scientific curiosity and collaborative spirit." Sarah Chun consulted her notes again. "Admiral, we should mention that we've prepared post-engagement career development opportunities for interested participants. Several hegemony officers have joined our ongoing research programs, and we'd be delighted to discuss similar arrangements with Valdorian personnel. Career development, advanced military studies, tactical innovation workshops, and what we call adaptive strategic thinking courses. Very popular with officers interested in expanding their professional capabilities." The Admiral looked around his bridge, seeing growing interest on the faces of his crew. The humans were offering his officers educational opportunities that would advance their careers while providing Earth with military expertise from across the galaxy. "Sir," the tactical officer reported, "analysis complete on the scenario packages. The humans have prepared 17 different engagement types, ranging from conventional fleet actions to small unit tactical operations. Each scenario includes comprehensive learning objectives and measurable performance criteria." "Performance criteria?" "They've established evaluation metrics for both offensive and defensive operations," Sarah Chun explained. "Post-engagement analysis will include detailed feedback on tactical effectiveness, strategic decision-making, and areas for improvement. Very thorough from an educational standpoint." Kekstar was beginning to understand that the humans had somehow transformed the concept of invasion into a form of advanced military education, with his fleet serving as both participants and test subjects in a comprehensive study of galactic combat doctrine. "Admiral," his communications officer reported, "incoming message from Valdorian High Command. They're requesting detailed reports on human tactical innovations and asking if extended engagement will be possible for research purposes." The Admiral stared at the message display. His own government was asking him to prolong the invasion for educational value. "Sir," the science officer added, "long-range sensors show additional fleet movements throughout the sector. Multiple species appear to be dispatching observation vessels to Earth system. Computer estimates suggest we'll have representatives from over 30 different military organizations within the next few days." Sarah Chun smiled broadly. "Word has gotten out about today's events. We've had to expand our spectator facilities and establish orbital viewing platforms to accommodate all the interest. This is shaping up to be the largest cross-species military education conference in galactic history." Kexthar looked at his tactical displays, seeing his carefully planned invasion transforming into something unprecedented, a collaborative learning experience that was drawing military observers from across the galaxy. Admiral, Zethkar's voice carried a note of enthusiasm. I strongly recommend you proceed with the engagement. What you'll discover about innovative tactical thinking will revolutionize your approach to military operations. The Admiral found himself facing a choice that no military commander in galactic history had ever confronted: whether to proceed with an invasion that the intended victims had transformed into an educational opportunity that promised to benefit everyone involved. Very well, Kexthar announced finally. All vessels, prepare for engagement. Let us see what these humans can teach us about warfare. As the Valdorian fleet moved into position for humanity's carefully prepared scenarios, observation vessels from dozens of species took up positions throughout the system. Earth's transformation of invasion into education was about to begin, with the galaxy's military elite as eager students in humanity's unique approach to collaborative conflict. Admiral Kexthar had expected many things when his fleet entered Earth's atmosphere, but being personally greeted by a formation of human aircraft performing what they called aerobatic welcome maneuvers was not among them. The small craft danced through the sky around his massive dreadnoughts, trailing colored smoke and executing precision flying that would have been impressive for military interceptors, let alone civilian aircraft piloted by enthusiastic volunteers. Admiral, his communications officer reported, the human aircraft are broadcasting music. Music, specifically what they call Flight of the Valkyries, and several pieces their databases identify as military march compositions from various human cultures. They appear to be providing a soundtrack for our approach. Through the bridge viewports, Kexthar could see the human aircraft continuing their elaborate aerial display, weaving between his warships with casual precision that spoke of remarkable piloting skill and complete absence of fear. Below them, Earth's surface was alive with activity that defied all conventional understanding of how a planet should respond to incoming invasion forces. Sir, the sensor operator announced, confirming massive gatherings at all designated engagement zones. Spectator counts are extraordinary. The main tactical display showed Earth's major metropolitan areas, each surrounded by elaborate viewing installations where millions of humans had gathered to watch the coming battle. But these were not desperate civilians fleeing in panic. Thermal imaging showed organized crowds with complex logistical support systems, entertainment facilities, and what appear to be educational presentation areas. Population analysis indicates this is the largest coordinated gathering in human history, the tactical officer reported. They have established comprehensive infrastructure to support prolonged observation of military operations. Admiral Kexthar studied the readings, seeing evidence of humanity's extraordinary ability to organize massive undertakings with startling efficiency. In the 3 months since announcing his fleet's approach, they had constructed viewing facilities capable of accommodating hundreds of millions of spectators, complete with life support, communication systems, and educational resources. Sir, incoming transmission from surface control. The display filled with the image of a human military officer, though one wearing an unusual uniform that seemed to combine traditional military elements with distinctly civilian academic accessories. Admiral Kexthar, this is General Martinez, Director of Earth's Collaborative Military Education Initiative. Welcome to our planet. Your fleet's approach formation has been absolutely textbook perfect. Our tactical analysis teams are very impressed with your precision. The Admiral found himself oddly pleased by the professional recognition. Even his part of his mind noted the strangeness of being complimented on invasion technique by his intended targets. General Martinez, Kexthar replied, "We are prepared to commence military operations according to standard Valdorian doctrine." Excellent. The human responded enthusiastically. We're very excited to observe systematic Valdorian tactical implementation. Our preparation teams have been studying your historical combat records, and we're particularly interested in seeing how you adapt your proven methodologies to Earth's unique defensive configurations. Unique defensive configurations? Oh yes, General Martinez smiled. We've prepared several surprises that we think you'll find intellectually challenging. Nothing that contradicts proper military principles, of course, just some creative applications of standard defensive theory. The Admiral was beginning to recognize the pattern that had so disturbed Zethkar. Humans approached warfare not as a desperate struggle for survival, but as a fascinating problem to be solved through creative application of scientific principles. Sir, his tactical officer interrupted. Movement detected on the surface. Large formations deploying from major population centers. The sensor displays showed massive coordinated movement as millions of humans emerged from cities across the planet. But instead of the chaotic evacuation any rational species would implement, the humans moved with precise choreography, spreading across designated areas with the efficiency of a well-rehearsed performance. Analysis indicates approximately 200 million humans taking positions in what appear to be pre-planned defensive configurations, the sensor operator reported. They're not seeking shelter, they're establishing combat positions. General Martinez nodded approvingly. Today's scenario features large-scale civilian participation, which we think provides valuable insights into total population mobilization strategies. Every participant has received basic tactical training and been assigned specific roles in our defensive framework. You've militarized your entire civilian population? We prefer to think of it as comprehensive civic education, the general replied. Every human receives basic training in tactical thinking, emergency response, and collaborative problem solving. It's part of our standard educational curriculum. The Admiral stared at the tactical displays, watching as Earth's population deployed into defensive positions with the coordination of a professional military force. Except these weren't soldiers. They were teachers, engineers, artists, students, and retirees who had apparently learned military tactics as a form of continuing education. Sir, the science officer announced, detecting massive energy spikes across the planetary surface. Multiple installations activating simultaneously. Defensive weapons? Unknown configuration, sir. Energy patterns don't match any known weapon systems in our databases. General Martinez consulted a handheld device. Those would be our educational infrastructure systems coming online. Real-time tactical analysis networks, communication grids for coordinating spectator safety, and comprehensive documentation arrays for post-engagement study. Documentation arrays? Multiple sensor types, recording systems from various perspectives, and what our technical teams call immersive data collection. We want to ensure comprehensive analysis of all tactical innovations that emerged during today's engagement. The Admiral realized that his invasion was being recorded from every conceivable angle by species that intended to study it as educational material for future reference. Admiral, his communications officer reported incoming transmissions from the observer fleets. Multiple species requesting clarification on engagement protocols. Put them through. The display divided into multiple windows, showing commanders from a dozen different species. Admiral Zethkar of the Hegemony appeared alongside representatives from the Crystalline Hierarchy, the Serpentine Collective, the Hive Confederation, and several other major galactic powers. Admiral Kekstar, Zethkar began, our technical teams are requesting permission to deploy sensor drones for detailed observation of human tactical innovations. Approved, responded Court Singer of Soros, the Crystalline representative. Our military education institutes have expressed significant interest in documenting advanced defensive methodologies. Commander Seth of the Serpentine Collective HIST Agreement. The opportunity to observe human adaptive tactical thinking in real time has drawn observers from across our territory. Admiral Kekstar found himself looking at representatives from some of the galaxy's most powerful military forces, all gathered to watch his invasion as if it were an advanced seminar in military science. Furthermore, Zethkar continued, several of our younger officers have requested permission to participate directly in the engagement as educational observers. Participate. Small tactical insertions to observe human problem-solving methodologies firsthand. Purely for learning purposes, of course. General Martinez nodded enthusiastically. We'd be delighted to accommodate observer participation. We have several scenarios designed specifically for multi-species educational value. The Admiral was slowly coming to terms with the fact that his carefully planned invasion had somehow become a collaborative learning exercise involving military representatives from across the galaxy. Sir, his tactical officer announced, receiving approach vectors for initial engagement. The humans have identified optimal attack routes that will provide maximum educational value for all participants. They're telling us how to invade them most effectively. Tactical optimization for enhanced learning outcomes, General Martinez explained. We've analyzed your fleet capabilities and identified engagement approaches that will best demonstrate Valdorian strategic doctrine while providing opportunities for defensive innovation. Admiral Kex looked at the incoming tactical data, seeing invasion plans more detailed and sophisticated than anything his own staff had developed. The humans had not only anticipated his arrival, but had created comprehensive scenarios designed to showcase both his force's capabilities and their own defensive innovations. Admiral, the sensor operator reported, detecting movement in Earth's upper atmosphere. Multiple contacts approaching from orbit. Human reinforcements? Negative, sir. Sensor signatures indicate space stations. Mobile platforms? Configuration unknown. General Martinez smiled. Those would be our orbital viewing platforms. We've had tremendous interest from off-world spectators, so we established zero-gravity observation facilities for species more comfortable in space-based environments. The Admiral looked at the tactical display, seeing that Earth's orbital space was now filled with observation platforms, recording equipment, and what appear to be hospitality facilities for spectators from species that prefer different atmospheric compositions. Sir, his communications officer announced. Incoming transmission from Valdorian High Command. Admiral Kex activated his personal communication system, expecting standard military orders. Instead, he found himself looking at Fleet Admiral Thexvar, his supreme commander, seated in what appeared to be an observation lounge. Admiral Kex Thexvar began. High Command has established an observation post in Earth's outer system. We're very interested in comprehensive documentation of today's engagement. Sir, you're here personally? The opportunity to observe human tactical innovation firsthand was too valuable to miss. Several members of the Strategic Planning Council are also present. We're particularly interested in their approach to adaptive defensive thinking. The Admiral realized that his own military leadership was watching his invasion as spectators, having traveled across the galaxy to observe human military science in action. Furthermore, Fleet Admiral Thexvar continued, we've received requests from the Valdorian Military Academy for detailed records of today's engagement. This will likely become required study material for advanced tactical coursework. Admiral Kex invasion was going to be turned into homework assignments for military students throughout Valdorian space. Sir, the tactical officer interrupted, human defensive systems are fully active. Energy readings indicate. I'm not sure how to classify what I'm seeing. The main display showed Earth's surface bristling with defensive installations, but they didn't resemble any known military technology. Instead, the humans appear to have converted their entire industrial infrastructure into improvised defensive capabilities. Analysis shows coordinated activation of manufacturing facilities, transportation networks, communication systems, and what appears to be entertainment infrastructure, the sensor operator reported. They've somehow integrated their entire civilization into a unified defensive framework. General Martinez nodded approvingly. Total societal mobilization represents one of our most interesting innovations. Instead of maintaining separate military and civilian infrastructure, we've designed our entire civilization to function as an integrated tactical system. Your entire civilization is a weapon. We prefer to think of it as a comprehensive problem-solving network. Every human facility, from schools to shopping centers, includes tactical applications. Every citizen receives training in adaptive thinking and collaborative response. It's quite efficient, actually. The Admiral stared at the tactical readings, realizing that he wasn't facing a military force defending a civilian population. He was facing an entire species that had transformed their civilization into a unified tactical intelligence. Sir, his science officer reported, detailed analysis of human defensive positions reveals unprecedented innovation. They're using technologies and tactics that don't appear in any of our databases. New weapons technology? Not exactly, sir. They appear to be using existing technology in ways that nobody has ever thought of before. General Martinez smiled. Creative application of standard resources is one of our specialties. We find that approaching problems without preconceived limitations often leads to interesting solutions. The Admiral looked at the tactical displays, seeing defensive configurations that violated everything he knew about proper military engineering, while somehow appearing remarkably effective. Admiral, Zethkar's voice drew his attention back to the communication array. I strongly recommend you proceed with the engagement. Human tactical creativity will challenge every assumption you have about proper military operations. Is that good or bad? That depends on whether you value educational experience over comfortable certainty, Zethkar replied. My own forces have implemented several human innovations with remarkable success. Their approach to tactical thinking is revolutionary. Admiral Kexthar found himself standing at the threshold of an experience that would either expand his understanding of warfare or completely shatter his confidence in everything he thought he knew about military science. Very well, he announced. All units, commence Scenario 1. Let us see what these humans can teach us about combat. As the Valdorian fleet moved into attack formation, the humans on Earth's surface erupted in spontaneous celebration. Millions of voices cheered as their planet prepared to defend itself against one of the galaxy's most powerful military forces. But they weren't cheering for victory or survival. They were cheering for the opportunity to share their love of tactical problem-solving with visitors from across the galaxy. Admiral, General Martinez announced, on behalf of Earth, welcome to our planet. We hope you'll find today's engagement both challenging and educational. Let's begin. The first shots of the engagement lit up Earth's sky like fireworks, and across the planet, humanity responded with the enthusiasm of people watching their favorite sport. They had turned warfare into an art form, and they were eager to share their masterpiece with anyone brave enough to appreciate it. In the depths of space, recording equipment from dozens of species captured every moment of humanity's unique approach to collaborative conflict. Military academies throughout the galaxy would study these recordings for centuries, trying to understand how a single species had revolutionized the fundamental nature of warfare by treating it as an educational opportunity rather than a desperate struggle. The humans had issued an invitation to the galaxy to learn new ways of thinking about conflict and combat. As Admiral Kexthar's fleet engaged with Earth's defenders, it became clear that humanity's greatest weapon was not their technology or tactics, but their ability to transform their enemies into students, their invasions into classrooms, and their battles into collaborative learning experiences that left everyone involved better than they had been before. The galaxy would never think about warfare the same way again. The battle for Earth lasted 18 hours, 43 minutes, and 17 seconds, and by the end of it, Admiral Kexthar's understanding of warfare had been fundamentally reconstructed from first principles. What had begun as a textbook invasion had evolved into something unprecedented, a collaborative exploration of tactical possibilities that challenged every assumption about military science. The first phase had proceeded according to standard Valdorian doctrine: orbital bombardment of strategic targets, followed by systematic suppression of defensive installations. Kexthar's fleet executed perfect formation flying while delivering precisely calculated firepower against Earth's military infrastructure. The humans responded by applauding. Sir, his tactical officer had reported during the opening bombardment, human spectator areas are displaying approval ratings. The Admiral had watched in fascination as massive display screens throughout Earth's viewing areas showed real-time analysis of his fleet's performance, complete with commentary from military experts representing dozens of different species. His orbital bombardment patterns were being evaluated like a performance art piece, with particular praise for the elegant mathematical precision of his targeting algorithms. Incoming transmission from Surface Control, his communications officer announced. General Martinez appeared on screen, somehow managing to look enthusiastic despite the fact that several major military installations were burning behind him. Admiral Kexthar, that was absolutely magnificent orbital fire coordination. Our analysis teams are particularly impressed with your resource allocation efficiency. Mind if we ask about your targeting prioritization matrix? The Admiral found himself explaining his tactical decision-making process to the people he was actively bombing. Worse, he found himself pleased by their professional appreciation of his methodology. Fascinating approach, General Martinez responded. We've prepared a counter-demonstration that we think you'll find intellectually stimulating. That was when Earth's surface had exploded into coordinated activity that defied every principle of defensive warfare Kexthar knew. Instead of hiding from his bombardment, the humans had emerged from their cities in massive, organized formations, not to flee, but to implement what could only be described as performance art on a continental scale. "Sir," the sensor operator reported, "human population movements are—" "I don't have adequate terminology for what I'm seeing." 200 million humans moved across Earth's surface with precision that would have been impressive for a single military unit, but was impossible to comprehend when applied to an entire planetary population. They formed patterns visible from orbit, massive geometric designs that somehow incorporated defensive positions, supply lines, communication networks, and what appear to be artistic expression. "They're creating pictures," the tactical officer announced with disbelief. The entire human population is arranging itself into massive artworks that happen to also be defensive formations. The admiral stared at the tactical display, watching humanity create defensive positions that resembled vast murals when viewed from space. Each individual human was both a tactical element in a complex military formation and a pixel in an artistic composition of staggering beauty and complexity. "Admiral," General Martinez's voice drew his attention back to the communication screen. "We hope you don't mind the artistic component. We find that combining aesthetic appreciation with tactical innovation helps maintain morale during extended engagements." "You're creating art while defending your planet?" "We're creating art by defending our planet," the general corrected. "We found that incorporating beauty into necessity makes both more effective." That was the moment Admiral Kexthar realized he was no longer conducting an invasion. He was participating in a form of collaborative performance that transcended traditional military categories. The second phase had begun when his ground forces attempted planetary assault. Standard procedure called for overwhelming the human formations with superior firepower and advanced technology. His shock assault units descended from orbit in perfect formation, their weapons powered and ready for systematic suppression of human defensive positions. "The humans have been waiting with gifts." "Sir," his ground commander reported via communication link, "the humans are presenting our troops with commemorative items." "Explain." "Small manufactured objects with inscriptions in Valdorian script. Translation indicates they're souvenirs celebrating our visit to their planet. They appear to be handcrafted specifically for individual members of our assault teams." Admiral Kexthar watched through his ground forces' visual feeds as humans approached his heavily armed warriors with small decorated objects, each one personalized for a specific soldier. The humans had somehow learned the names, ranks, and personal details of his troops and created individual gifts for every member of his invasion force. Furthermore, the ground commander continued, "They're expressing appreciation for our tactical expertise and asking questions about Valdorian military training methodologies." The admiral watched his elite assault troops, standing in the middle of the supposed battlefield, answering questions about their educational backgrounds while accepting handmade gifts from the people they were supposed to be conquering. "Sir, the humans have prepared demonstration areas where they want to show us examples of their defensive innovations. They are requesting feedback on their tactical creativity." What followed was the most surreal military engagement in galactic history. Instead of fighting against his ground forces, the humans had organized what could only be described as collaborative tactical workshops. They demonstrated their improvised weapons systems, explained their organizational methodologies, and asked for professional opinions on their strategic thinking. "Admiral," his ground commander reported, "I think you should see this." The communication link shifted to show a remarkable scene. Valdorian shock assault troops working alongside human civilians to construct what appeared to be an improved defensive fortification. His elite warriors were providing technical advice, while humans contributed creative modifications that enhanced the design beyond anything in Valdorian military engineering manuals. "The humans suggested several modifications to our standard assault protocols," the ground commander explained. "Their recommendations have improved our tactical efficiency by approximately 30%. Admiral Kexthar was watching his invasion force receive professional development training from the species they were supposed to be conquering. "Sir," the tactical officer interrupted, "incoming transmission from the observer fleets. Multiple species are requesting permission to deploy ground observers." The main display filled with representatives from across the galaxy, all expressing enthusiasm about what they were witnessing. Admiral Zethkar announced, "This collaborative approach to tactical innovation exceeds our most optimistic projections. Request permission to deploy technical analysis teams." "Approved," chimed court singer of Soros. The integration of artistic expression with defensive methodology represents revolutionary thinking. Commander Seth of the Serpentine Collective Hist Agreement. Our strategic planning councils have never observed such adaptive creativity applied to military challenges. Within hours, Earth's surface was host to military observers from dozens of different species, all working alongside humans and Valdorians to explore new approaches to tactical thinking. What had begun as an invasion had become the galaxy's largest collaborative research project. The third phase had emerged when Admiral Kexthar realized that traditional military objectives had become irrelevant. His fleet wasn't conquering Earth. It was participating in a comprehensive exploration of military science that was benefiting everyone involved. Admiral General Martinez announced during one of their regular tactical discussion sessions, "We've prepared some advanced scenarios that require multi-species cooperation. We think you'll find the complexity intellectually stimulating." The humans had somehow convinced military forces from 7 different species to participate in joint tactical exercises designed to explore the possibilities of collaborative combat doctrine. Valdorian systematic thinking combined with hegemony technological innovation, enhanced by crystalline mathematical precision, modified by serpentine adaptive strategies, and somehow unified by human creative synthesis. "Sir," his tactical officer reported, "our combat effectiveness has improved by over 60% since beginning cooperation with human innovation methodologies. Our troops are reporting unprecedented satisfaction with their professional development opportunities." Admiral Kexthar found himself commanding not an invasion fleet, but a research expedition that was revolutionizing military thinking throughout the galaxy. His officers were learning more about tactical innovation in a single day than they had in decades of traditional military operations. The fourth phase had begun when the humans proposed what they called graduation ceremonies. Admiral Kexthar, General Martinez announced, "We believe today's collaboration has reached natural completion. We'd like to hold recognition ceremonies for all participants." Recognition ceremonies? Formal acknowledgement of tactical innovation, collaborative achievement, and professional development. We've prepared awards for outstanding tactical creativity, cross-species cooperation, and innovative problem-solving. The Admiral found himself attending a ceremony where his invasion force received awards for their contributions to military science. Humans presented medals and certificates to Valdorian officers who had demonstrated exceptional adaptability and creative thinking. Other species representatives received recognition for their collaborative innovations and willingness to explore new tactical paradigms. Furthermore, General Martinez continued, "We'd like to establish ongoing exchange programs. Many of our people are interested in studying traditional galactic military doctrine, while we have much to offer in terms of adaptive tactical thinking." The ceremony concluded with the signing of what humans called educational cooperation agreements between Earth and representatives from 14 different species. Military academies throughout the galaxy would now participate in joint training exercises, exchange programs, and collaborative research initiatives designed to advance military science through creative cooperation. Fleet Admiral Thexvar's voice drew his attention to a priority communication channel. "High Command has reviewed comprehensive documentation of today's engagement. We're implementing immediate modifications to Valdorian military education based on human innovations. Sir, effective immediately, human tactical thinking will be required study material for all Valdorian military personnel. We're also establishing permanent exchange programs with Earth's educational institutions." Admiral Kexthar realized that his invasion had somehow become the catalyst for a fundamental transformation of military thinking throughout Valdorian space. Furthermore, Fleet Admiral Thexvar continued, "We're recommending to the Galactic Council that Earth be designated as an official center for advanced military education. No species in galactic history has demonstrated such innovative approaches to tactical thinking." As the ceremonies concluded and various fleets prepared to depart Earth's system, Admiral Kexthar found himself standing on Earth's surface, surrounded by humans who had somehow transformed his invasion into the most professionally rewarding experience of his military career. Admiral General Martinez approached with what appeared to be a diploma. On behalf of Earth, we're pleased to award you certification in Advanced Collaborative Tactical Innovation. We hope you'll consider returning for our advanced seminars. The Admiral accepted the diploma, staring at formal recognition of his completion of an educational program he hadn't known he was attending. Additionally, the General continued, we've prepared detailed analysis of today's engagement, including recommendations for implementing collaborative tactical methodologies throughout your military organization. We think you'll find the efficiency improvements quite remarkable. As Admiral Kexthar's fleet departed Earth system, his ships carried more than just satisfied soldiers returning home. They carried revolutionary new approaches to military thinking that would transform warfare throughout the galaxy. More importantly, they carried the understanding that conflict could be collaborative, that enemies could become teachers, and that warfare could be an educational experience that left everyone involved better than they had been before. Behind them, Earth continued broadcasting its invitation to the galaxy, an offer to share humanity's unique perspective on turning conflict into collaboration, warfare into education, and enemies into partners in the endless pursuit of innovation and improvement. The humans had demonstrated that their greatest weapon was not technology or tactics, but their ability to transform the fundamental nature of conflict itself. They had turned invasion into education, conquest into collaboration, and warfare into an art form that elevated everyone who participated in it. The galaxy would never be the same, and for the first time in galactic history, that was something everyone could celebrate together. 6 months after what galactic historians would later term the Great Educational Engagement, the ripple effects of humanity's approach to collaborative warfare had fundamentally transformed military thinking throughout known space. What had begun as individual species attempting to conquer Earth had evolved into a galaxy-wide renaissance of tactical innovation and cross-species cooperation. The Galactic Council Chamber, once a forum for territorial disputes and military posturing, now hosted its first-ever interspecies military science symposium, with Earth serving as the primary educational coordinator and humanity providing what they call facilitation services for collaborative learning experiences. Ambassador Veltar of the Serpentine Collective rose to address the assembled delegates, her scales shimmering with a pattern that indicated deep satisfaction and excitement. Honored representatives, she began. 6 months ago, many of us viewed humanity as either a curiosity or a threat. Today, we gather to discuss the most significant advancement in military science in galactic history. The Chamber's holographic displays showed statistics that would have been incomprehensible before humanity's introduction to the galactic community. Military efficiency across all participating species had improved by an average of 47%. Interspecies conflicts had decreased by 73%, replaced by collaborative training exercises and joint research initiatives. Most remarkably, military personnel satisfaction and professional development indicators had reached unprecedented levels. The humans have demonstrated that warfare need not be destructive competition, but rather constructive collaboration in the pursuit of tactical excellence, Veltar continued. Their educational methodologies have not only improved our military capabilities, but have transformed our understanding of what military service can represent. Zethkar of the Hegemony Coalition approached the speaker's platform, his bearing now confident rather than traumatized. The transformation in his demeanor reflected the broader changes that human educational philosophy had brought to his entire military organization. 6 months ago, I warned this council about the threat posed by humanity, he announced. Today, I stand before you to report that my assessment was accurate, but incomplete. Humans do represent a fundamental threat to our existing understanding of warfare, but only in the sense that their innovations make traditional military thinking obsolete. The holographic displays shifted to show comprehensive data from the hegemony's implementation of human tactical innovations. Combat effectiveness had improved dramatically, but more importantly, the psychological profile of hegemony military personnel had been revolutionized. Where once soldiers served out of duty or coercion, they now participated with genuine enthusiasm for professional development and creative problem-solving. Human educational methodologies have transformed military service from a burden into a form of advanced scientific research, Zethkar explained. Our personnel no longer simply follow orders. They actively contribute to tactical innovation and collaborative improvement. The changes extended far beyond simple efficiency improvements. The fundamental culture of military service throughout the galaxy was evolving towards something unprecedented. Armed forces that functioned as educational institutions, research organizations, and creative collaboratives all simultaneously. Furthermore, Zethkar continued, human approaches to conflict resolution have virtually eliminated traditional warfare between participating species. When disputes arise, we now engage in structured tactical exercises designed to explore different approaches to problem solving. Instead of destroying resources through combat, we improve our capabilities through collaborative competition. Ambassador Quartz Singer of Sorrows of the Crystalline Hierarchy chimed with melodic agreement. The mathematical precision of human educational design has exceeded our most optimistic projections for systematic improvement. Their ability to transform competitive destruction into collaborative creation represents optimization of resource utilization beyond our previous conceptual frameworks. The crystalline beings analysis appeared on the chamber's displays, showing that humanity's approach to collaborative conflict had eliminated the waste associated with traditional warfare while maximizing the benefits of competitive innovation. Species that had once spent enormous resources fighting each other were now investing those same resources in joint research and development programs. Additionally, Quartz Singer of Sorrows continued, human integration of aesthetic appreciation with tactical functionality has introduced artistic expression as a legitimate component of military science. Our forces now create beauty while developing combat capability, resulting in unprecedented satisfaction among personnel and improved effectiveness in all operational parameters. The transformation was not limited to military organizations. Civilian populations throughout participating species have begun adopting human educational methodologies in other fields, leading to accelerated innovation in science, technology, arts, and social organization. Humanity's approach to turning competition into collaboration was revolutionizing galactic civilization. Commander Thexmore of the Hive Confederation, speaking through a coordinated swarm of drones, buzzed with enthusiasm. Human collective intelligence integration methodologies have enhanced our natural hive coordination capabilities beyond theoretical limits. Their approaches to individual creative expression within collaborative frameworks have improved our species' cognitive flexibility by measurable parameters. The hive, a species that had already achieved remarkable collective intelligence, had somehow been enhanced by learning human approaches to balancing individual creativity with group coordination. The implications for other species were staggering. Human educational protocols have enabled our hive consciousness to incorporate diverse thinking patterns while maintaining unified purpose. Thexmore continued. We now possess enhanced adaptability without losing coordination efficiency. The discussion was interrupted by an announcement that drew everyone's attention to the chamber's main display. Admiral Kexthar of the Valdorian Empire appeared via long-range communication, broadcasting from what appeared to be a massive space-based facility. Honored Council, Kexthar announced. I report from the inaugural session of the Galactic Military Innovation Institute, a joint facility constructed through collaboration between 14 species and administered by Earth's educational coordination systems. The display showed the remarkable structure, a massive space station that combined architectural elements from dozens of different species, designed to serve as a permanent center for collaborative military research and education. The facility was enormous, capable of accommodating researchers, students, and tactical exercise participants from